With the resurgence of Monster Hunter World, I keep asking myself, what would it be like if Pokemon got into Monster Hunter? Now, for those of you that don't know, there are 14 weapons in Monster Hunter, and I will go over all of them right now. We have the Great Sword, Long Sword, Sword and Shield, Dual Blades, Hammer, Hunting Horn, Lance, Gun Lance, Switch Axe, Charge Blade, Insect Glaive, Light Bowgun, Heavy Bowgun, and Bow. Now, I want to translate this to a Pokemon world, so would I ask myself then, would they still use the same weapons? Well, yes, they would. In my universe, for this video series, they are going to be killing these pseudo-legendaries, but they can bring one Pokemon partner. So without further ado, let's get into the first one that the hunters would probably face in my universe idea. I would call this like Pokemon Legends Monster Hunter. I don't know. Something like that. Pokemon Legends X Monster Hunter. I think something like that is kind of spicy, kind of good. The stage is set. Hunters traveling through the barrens or the jungles of the Pokemon world. Without realizing it, there's a bigger beast walking around. His name? Kommo-o, the dragon-fighting pseudo-legendary, with his gang of Hakamo. These travel in packs because they're not as strong as the other pseudo-legendaries. He's a dragon-fighting type with weakness to fairy and dragon, so it might be good to bring a fairy or dragon Poke-Pal to fight with you. His resistances: electric, fire, and water, and he commonly is found in these jungles or the barrens. Now, when hunters encounter this, they must know he has multiple abilities that can be adapted from the Pokemon world into the Monster Hunter world. His first, bulletproof. Bows and bowgun ammo doesn't penetrate scales well. So, I'm sorry bow users, but you're really not going to have a good time in this fight, so you might want to bring some other friends to tag along. Soundproof. Sound-based attacks, such as like stuff with the hunting horn, are not very effective against this mon. And overcoat. Spores and effects are greatly neutralized because of his outside scales. So, we won't see Kommo-o being slept very much in these fights. It's also immune to Sandstorm because of the overcoat on his scales. Now, getting into weapon effectiveness, what hunters will want to use most, blades are going to be immaculate here. His tail is severable, his head is punishable, and his hands are breakable. Hammers, you can go for the head. Semi-effective, but not the best. And for my gun users, I'm sorry, your bow guns and your bows are really not going to do a lot against this thing. So you might want to change up tactics or maybe try to get some piercing ammo. Now, Kommo-o can commonly be found fighting with the Gudra in jungles and the Tyrannitars in the sandstorms. These turf wars, Kommo-o usually will lose, but he has a variety of attacks that can get him through. And with that, let's get into his attacks. Hunters, beware. This is what you want to look out for. When the fight starts, you're bound to see Kommo-o use Dragon Claws, his tail with Dragon Tail, Iron Head, and Scale Shot, in which he shoots his scales out at you. If you make it through the fight and you enrage Kommo-o, you're bound to see him risk everything and take some of his own HP, ripping his scales off, using Clangorous Soul, in which he loses health but boosts all of his other stats with buffs. He might come at you then with a close combat in which he'll pummel the ground all around hunters, or Clanging Scales, in which he'll shoot out all of his tail scales that will eventually regrow but that does massive damage, almost a KO. Now, I want to ask you guys, do you think you can hunt Kommo-o? He's probably one of the most basic ones. And if you want to see more of this, comment down below to let me know what you guys think. And this was fun. So I'll see you guys next time.